So, hello everyone, it's the Cricket Connoisseur here, and welcome to another 2020 IPL preview show. On today's show, I'm joined once more by cricket fanatic Parting Rao, and in this show, we're going to be covering the mighty men in yellow, the Chennai Super Kings. So, first things first, Part, thank you very much for coming on to the show today, mate. How excited are you to see CSK compete in the 2020 IPL?
First of all, thank you so much for having Aaron. Yeah, I'm really excited. Steve, with Chennai, there are a lot of emotions. They got out of IPL for 2 years. They came back, won an IPL, almost won the last year's IPL as well. And it's the champion side we are talking about, and they will be starting the first game. I'm really, really excited to watch them roar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. It's a great team. And let's talk about the team because they have retained a lot of last year's successful team, which obviously came on the wrong side in the final, but they were still a phenomenal team. So to kickstart their team, we have obviously the captain, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. We have Kedar Jadhav, Shane Watson, and Bati Raidu, Murali Vijay, Faf du Plessis, Ruturaj Gaikwad, Mitch Santner, Sam Curran, Narayan Jagadisan, Ravindra Jadeja or Ravi Jadeja, Khan Sharma, Imran Tahir, Piyush Chawla, Arsai Kishore, Dwayne Bravo, Shardul Thakur, Deepak Chahar, Lungi Ngidi, Kerm Asif, Monu Kumar, and rounding off the squad, we have the Aussie seamer Josh Hazlewood. So, Parts, what are your first thoughts on that team? Obviously, we've just mentioned they've retained a lot of their core from the 2019 and 2018 season. What do you make of that squad? What are your first thoughts with regards to that Chennai team?
I want to say that it's an aging squad, but I tried to say this from last 2 years and I was proved wrong. So I cannot say it anymore. And but again, we're looking at the champion players. They have played and won leagues all over the world. Most of the players are experienced. They have achieved all what you could have wished for as a player. And certainly, and just one of an example of that is Shane Watson, the kind of trust Chennai put in their players, even though they do not have a good season. And then comes the big occasion, comes their big man and performs on his potential. So that's kind of faith Chennai show in their squad. And if the players perform up to their potential this season as well, then we're looking at the champion side again, and I could see them lifting the trophy. And most important thing, they picked up the players keeping in mind the Chepak's surface, the surface of Chennai's home ground. Now the IPL will be played in Dubai, and we know what we are guessing the surfaces that will be slow and really turning. Well, Chennai will not be complaining at all.
No, definitely. And as you said, in a way, they've almost created a almost perfect squad, I suppose, for the conditions because Chepak, Abu Dhabi in particular, Abu Dhabi is going to be slow and turning, just like Chennai. So I agree, it's a very, very strong squad. But we can't talk about this Chennai team or the squad in general without talking about the two massive omissions. And they are absolutely huge. So the first one, Suresh Raina, the IPL's second leading run scorer of all time, CSK's fourth leading run scorer last season. He is not going to take part in the IPL in 2020, as we know. And the second one, Harbhajan Singh, the third highest wicket taker in IPL history alongside Piyush Chawla with 150 wickets and CSK's second leading wicket taker last season. Just how big of a loss are those two key players to this Chennai outfit in 2020?
Huge losses, big loss because, if you see the Raina's performance over the years, he has been diminishing, but he's still the player who comes in number 3 and give you those valuable runs. And more importantly, I'm worried the emission of Raina is actually messing up with the whole balance of the team. Now we don't know who comes at number 3, who opened the inning. So we are talking about two Indian players. It's not overseas players which you can fill in. So Indian players are actually really important, and if you lose them. And Harbhajan Singh, again, before the IPL, I was not sure if he will start the game or not. But now that I made my squad, and now I missed that how big of a miss Harbhajan Singh would be. He would have almost started in 8 to 10 games. And because they do not have any off spinner to start with. And kind of season Harbhajan had in the last year's IPL. So, that will be a huge boost to fill in anybody who's trying to make into the squad.
Yeah, definitely. And as you just said, he would have played quite a few games. I think he played 11 matches last year, took 16 wickets, had an economy rate of around 7. So he would have been an absolute asset in the UAE. But let's focus back on the squad then, because obviously they are two massive omissions. They're irreplaceable players, basically. You've got two IPL legends who are not going to take part in this year's tournament. So we'll start with the strengths. We'll start with the positives of the team. And I suppose we've already mentioned this, the experienced core. You've got the likes of Dhoni, Jadeja, Tahir, Rayudu, Duplessis and Watson. These guys were part of their 2018 title-winning team. They're also part of last year's final appearing team. So they have got a really good IPL experienced core. They aren't relying on 20-year-old batsmen coming in through the Syed Mushtaq Ali system. So, what are your thoughts on their experienced core? Do you think that is going to be a strength? Or would you maybe flip it around and say that could also be a weakness? Because given the age, given the searing heat in the UAE, that could also prove to turn against them.
We have seen the dynamics of T20 and we know how important experienced players are. So again, you cannot rule out any of these players in any conditions in the world. The only thing which concerns me is the ground fielding and catching, because again, it could be difference of couple of runs or that run out or that missed catch. But again, even with all those flaws, they managed to get in last 2 seasons and they played 2 finals. But experience, you cannot rule out any day. They will win you games.
Exactly, yeah. And they've been there and done that. We mentioned 2018. Watson scored 117 out, didn't he, against Sunrisers? That was a ridiculous innings. So, yeah, they've all been here and done it before. The likes of Dwayne Bravo as well, 500 wickets in T20 cricket. You can't buy that. You can't get it through a young player. That experience is invaluable. So in terms of another strength, though, obviously they have got the experienced core. And we touched upon this just slightly, their spin attack. Now, we mentioned Chepak. It's very spin conducive, as will the UAE surfaces. Abu Dhabi in particular, the Sheikh Zayed, it's going to turn. It's going to be quite slow, quite dusty. And you look at their spinners. You got Imran Tahir, who took 26 wickets last year, who's the leading wicket taker in last year's tournament. Got Piyush Chawla again, equal third alongside Harbhajan Singh in the all-time IPL wickets tally. Ravi Jadeja, Mitch Santner, Arsai Kishore. They have got such a fantastic spin attack. What do you make of their spinners in this year's tournament?
Oh, the spinners are going to enjoy bowling in Dubai. Of course, they would not complain. Another interesting things, though, that if the IPL was in India, the games would be in Chennai. It will be just 7 games, and rest of the games they would be traveling. But now all 14 games are in the conditions of Dubai, and they are going to enjoy every bit of it. The great thing about this squad, like all of them, as you mentioned, Tahir was highest wicket takers in the last year's tournament. So even if you see they get hammered for a couple of sixes, they have the audacity and again give the flight and get those wickets.
Yeah.
They're all wicket-taking bowlers we are talking about, and Chennai have this luxury that if they see other team has more left-handers or right-handers, they can have variations in their spin attack. And the only missing concern would be Harbhajan Singh we mentioned, but again, they have huge bench strength as well in terms of spinners, and they will be itching to go and get some wickets.
Yeah, 100%. And I've absolutely no doubt that their spinners will be the forefront of that bowling attack. I mean, they're probably going to get quite a few wickets, as are most spin attacks in this year's tournament. But let's flip this around now. We'll talk about the strengths. Of course, there are some glaring weaknesses to this side. We've mentioned the age, but let's talk about that number 3 position. Suresh Raina, we've mentioned it. He's irreplaceable. This guy is the second leading run scorer of all time in the IPL. You cannot get that experience from anywhere else, no matter even if they try to replace him. Okay, and we've mentioned this as well. Okay, because the fact is, Suresh Raina is such a dynamic and flexible player. We've mentioned ground fielding. Suresh Raina is one of the best ground fielders, arguably in the tournament. He offers you a bit with the spin, and of course, he offers you a lot of stability, almost as an anchor role in that number 3 spot. So, Parts, I just wanted to ask you this. How do you think Chennai are going to overcome this problem in the number 3 spot? Do you think they're going to suffer a lot of instability during this tournament in that number 3 position?
For sure, Raina will be missed during this tournament, and I hope they figure out the dynamics of the tournament and what's the reason he left, and then he can bring him back in the middle season if it works. But if not, they certainly have to start at least 10 games or 7 games without him, and that's almost half of the tournament. And we see that number 3, Raidu has not played number 3 for Chennai in long period of time or for any side, and if we see Raidu or Murli Vijay, anybody going in that place, they have to adapt the role of Raina, what Raina contributes to the team. They have to give that anchor role or suddenly, or anytime willpower to actually accelerate the score as well. So this is such a difficult position to bat in, because you have to know both sides, both aspects of the game, being an anchor and being able to accelerate. And I hope anybody who tries to replace Rana adapts to that role. And we will go deeper at who bats in number 3 for my side.
Yeah, definitely. We'll talk about that just after this next section. So we've talked about the strengths and weaknesses. And of course, it is a very interesting squad full of very interesting individuals as well. So in this next segment, we'll talk about a player to watch. So this is a player who we believe is going to have a pretty good tournament, or someone that the fans at home should be looking out for to have a big tournament, or maybe just have an impact for the Super Kings this season. So, Pat, I'll start with yours. Who have you gone as your player to watch in 2020?
Well, I've gone with Ravi Jadeja. I have gone with Ravi Jadeja as my player to watch. I want to see, though, how he contributes with the bat. I will tell you his position when I talk about in the team, when I will mention in the team. But he has scored 3 triple hundreds in Ranji Trophy. He has scored. We have all seen what he did against New Zealand in the semi-finals. He almost won India the game.
Yeah.
So I really like to see Ravi Jadeja bringing that value from the bat for Chennai in the T20 format as well, coming at number 5, coming in number 4, having that role of almost as a floater and can hit the ball whenever he wants. So, and again, we all know what kind of fielder he is and what value he brings to the balls. He can bowl all 6 balls in the same spot on any surface. So if Ravi Jadeja will give me that 360 performance, I think that will be a very important asset of Chennai and player to watch out for. And again, for me, he will be the MVP candidate for this season.
I'll throw in something a bit extra in there. But yeah, I agree. Ravi Jadeja, what a player. I mean, I'd argue one of the best all-rounders to watch. Such a fantastic fielder to watch as well. Just got it all. Fantastic hands, great hand-eye coordination, brilliant at run-outs as well. We've seen him produce some audacious run-outs over the years. I have gone someone slightly younger than Jadeja, but he is another left-arm spinner, I suppose. I have gone Arsai Kishore. So he's a 23-year-old left-arm off spinner from Tamil Nadu. And let me just read you his stats. I mean, I watched him in the 2019 Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy for Tamil Nadu. And just listen to these. This is absolutely outrageous. So he was the leading wicket taker in the tournament with 20 wickets, an average of 10.40 and an economy rate of 4.63. So he was the most economic bowler out of the top 50 wicket takers in the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. That's incredible. In addition to that, he possesses such a fantastic control of the ball. And we mentioned in the UAE, it's going to be spin conducive. He's going to absolutely love these surfaces. And I really hope that we do get to see him. He could be an absolute asset. He could be a great backup for the likes of Piyush Chawla or indeed Jadeja if they need an extra off-spin option. I just really want to see him play. I think he deserves it. He was unlucky not to have had a franchise last season. But I just think in the UAE, nice spin-conducive conditions, maybe in Abu Dhabi, they need the extra spinner. I would quite like to see Arsai Kishore make his IPL debut this year. And yeah, I have no doubts that he will go on to be a very, very good spinner in IPL franchise cricket in the future as well. But yeah, we've just mentioned about lineups there then. So let's get on to the bit that everybody likes, I suppose. And for anyone watching this at home as well, please do let us know your predicted lineups. This is going to be so interesting because Chennai have an absolute plethora of lineup combinations that they could choose. So, Pass, I'm going to start with you. Okay, I'm going to give you this this task first. Who have you got as your starting or strongest 11 for the Chennai Super Kings in this year's tournament?
I'll start with Shane Watson and Faf du Plessis as my overseas openers. They take off 2 overseas slots from the team, and again, they start for themselves in any surface. We all know what they're capable of. They have played everywhere in the world, they score runs in all the surfaces. So again, they're slightly not at their peak, but again, what we have seen with Shane Watson and Faf du Plessis, the big occasion comes and they give you runs and they win you games single-handedly. So I'll start with Watson and Faf du Plessis as my openers. Number 3, Rana's absence. I have given it to Ambati Raidu. Normally, I would have, if Rana would have been there in the team, Raidu would have opened in my side, but he's not there because Raidu came at number 4 last season. He did not have the IPL which he wanted, and that almost cost him his place in the World Cup team. So I'll start with Raidu at number 3. Now, we're looking at top 3. There's no left-hander, and it is really important when you're facing leg spinner or a left-handed bowler. So Rana's absence, Raidu takes off number 3, and then for me, I'll put my money on Ravi Jadeja as coming at number 4. As a left-handed batsman, I said I want to see more of him batting. I'd really like to see him evolving in this role as well. Or if there is overseas slot available in the team, you might put Sam Curran over there. But
Yeah.
again, he's not in my overseas slot. So Ravi Jadeja, I'll give it number 4. If you need Dhoni or Kedar Jadhav, they can put themselves one order up according to the situation. But if you want somebody to explore, I'll put Ravi Jadeja as number 4 as my floater role. Then MS Dhoni as captain and wicketkeeper. There have been a lot of talks about his retirement. It's really emotional now when fans would see him back in the action, and it will mean a lot, not only for the Chennai fans but for the Indian fans.
Yeah,
everybody
definitely.
who like to see MS on the field. So it will be really emotional. But MS at number 5 as captain and wicketkeeper. Then I went with Kedar Jadhav at number 6, who can give me a couple of overs with his round armers. Who can, if he gets 10 balls, he'll give you the knock of 28 runs, 25 runs, can give you some scoops. He's really cheeky player. He has done it before. Unfortunately, he has been injured for Chennai for most of the part, but now he's back with his fitness. Now we are done at number 6. Now that comes the all-rounders and the lower order. So I went ahead with Dwayne Bravo as number 7. It's really big positive for Chennai that he's back in form. He walks into the side with that confidence he got for as a champion side in CPL, Chicago Knight Riders. So Dwayne Bravo comes at number 7, takes up the slot of third overseas in this side. And then I went ahead with I had a choice between Piyush Chawla and Karan Sharma. But I went ahead with Piyush Chawla. He has better IPL record. He has been such a value in his peak for KKR, not only with the ball, but also with the bat. We don't know if he could do the same now, but because we have to see. So Piyush Chawla comes at number 8. And then comes number 9, Shardul Thakur, or even he comes ahead of Piyush Chawla in terms of batting, but Shardul Thakur as my Indian pace bowler, along with Deepak Chahar. Again, he selects for himself. He's India bowler now, plays for India in the T20 format as well. You should not be surprised if you see Deepak Chahar bowling all his overs in the power play as well. So, which he has done for Chennai before. So Deepak Chahar comes in. Shardul Thakur again with his Indian pace partner. As 4th overseas slot, I went with Imran Tahir as my leg spinner, as the leader of the bowling attack in the Chennai side. His 4 overs will be really important. We don't know when he will come in power play or in the middle overs, but his 4 overs you cannot rule out. Every ball Tahir bowls, there's something. He makes things happen. So we are looking at the settled bowling attack here. If Chennai batsmen give them 150 to 165 or even 145 to 155, you cannot rule Chennai out of the game. These bowlers have done it before. They've won them the games, and I believe they can do it this season as well.
Yeah, I completely concur with that. I have got a slightly different 11, purely because of my number 3 spot. But my openers, I've gone Shane Watson and Faf du Plessis, so the exact same opening duo of last season, keep that stability at the top of the order. Number 3, I've gone Murali Vijay. Now, the reason why I've gone with Murali Vijay is for a couple of reasons. As you said, he can play the anchor role. But in addition to that, let's say one of Watson and du Plessis goes early. He's more than adept against the new ball because he is primarily an opener. So I've chosen him there. As I said, he can play both roles. He's flexible. He's malleable in that regard. At my number 4, I've gone Kedar Jadhav. Now, it's an interesting one. I haven't actually got Ambati Rayudu in my team. I haven't, which may seem quite surprising. But as you said with Kedar, he can offer you those. They are very, very funny off spinners. The exaggeration of the arm movement, very, very low arm, to say the least. But as you said, he also does have that ability to be a very cheeky player. If they need him to come in and just get a quick few runs to get the momentum, let's say they're, 25 for 2, for example, he can just come in, score a few boundaries. He also does have the game to kind of dig in a bit as well. Yeah. He's not just a one-dimensional player. So I've gone Kedar Jadhav at 4. Number 5, I've gone, obviously, the legend, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. I cannot wait to see him in action. I really can't. It's been too long. It really has since we've seen MS. And as you said, it is going to be a massive occasion, not just for CSK fans, but for Dhoni fans across the world, not just India fans. But yeah, I can't wait to see MS in action. Of course, he's the captain of this CSK outfit as well. At number 6, this is where I can be a bit flexible with mine. Again, it depends on the situation. If you need that bit of impetus, that bit of momentum, bring in Ravi Jadeja. If not, and you need someone who's going to kind of stick in just a bit longer, we'll go Dwayne Bravo. Then at my number 8 spot, I've gone Shardul Thakur. At my number 9 spot, Deepak Chahar. I'm very glad that you mentioned him in the power play, because in my view, Deepak Chahar with the new ball is one of the best bowlers in this tournament.
Certainly.
He seems to just extract swing from nowhere with a white ball. And usually you get like 1 or 2 overs. He can really take it into the 6th, 7th over and still get that bit of movement with the seam. So he is at my number 9 spot. Number 10, Piyush Chawla. You've mentioned experience, can also offer you a bit with the bat at the end. You know, Piyush, he isn't going to go down without trying. And then number 11, of course, last year's leading wicket taker, had a fantastic CPL for Guyana as well, Imran Tahir. So we've both got some ever so slightly different combinations, but pretty much the same core in terms of their experienced players. And of course, for anyone watching this video, please do let us know. Let us know your 11 down in the comments below. Of course, we'll have a look through them and, of course, offer our viewpoints as well. But, Parth, I just wanted to ask you something here then. Okay, let's say that one of these players gets injured. And we've mentioned in past preview shows bench strength. Who would you bring in? Let's say the likes of Chawla got injured or Bravo got injured. Who do you think Chennai have to kind of draw from their bench into this starting 11 if needed?
Yeah, for sure. If any of those players gets injured, let's say, and if, as you mentioned about Piyush Chawla, if he does not give you 14 games, interestingly, Chennai have backup in terms of their spin department. You have Kern Sharma again as a leg spinner, which was a very interesting buy. Deacon comes in, start in the side, or Michel Santner for that sake, if they have another slot available. He has played for Chennai in the last season. He has even started in some games. So again, that's very like for like replacement when it comes to the spinners. And as you said, our side, sure, it would be really, really interesting to see him playing a game, if not this season, at least next season. But again, he's there in the bench. He will give you that option to fight for that spot. I really wanted to see Sam Curran and Josh Hazelwood be in the side. They walk in any side in the world and any day. But it will be very interesting to see how MS utilizes his bench, because we have seen he does it enough. He wants to bring some surprise element against any side, or if he plays to the weaknesses of other teams, he gives you that surprise element. So I'll not be surprised if Sam Curran and Josh Hazelwood comes up here and there. Really important, Lungi Ngidi has been with Chennai for almost few years now. He was injured for whole season, I guess a last one or one before that. But now he's fit, he's ready to roar. And I guess we will not be surprised if we see Lungi Ngidi in at least 7 games of the season.
Oh, interesting prediction. But yeah, Lungi Ngidi or Lungasani Ngidi is a fantastic young bowler. He really is. In Dubai and Sharjah, for example, where that is just that little bit more for the seamers, if you can really hit the surface, I think he'd be a great option. You've mentioned Sam Curran. I think we will see him at some point this season because he offers you that left arm seam. He's got the angle. He has the pinch hitting capabilities as well. Let's say they could put him at 3 and he can get them off to an absolutely searing start. I also find it quite interesting, Ruturaj Gaikwad as well. So let's say in that number 3 spot, for me, it's VJ. So let's say VJ doesn't perform. You can bring in Gaikwad, of course, once he's free from COVID and he's no longer testing positive, of course. But he could be a really interesting option. There is just one glaring bit of bench depth, which I think is missing. And that is the backup wicketkeeper. And of course, we are hoping that Dhoni does not get injured. But let's say theoretically does, you've only got Jagadeesan. You look at other teams, for example, look at RCB. They have 2 or 3 keeping options and they're top quality. It's a lot of pressure to put on a 24-year-old wicketkeeper, especially coming in for the likes of MS Dhoni. So that's the only glaring omission, I think, on the bench. But other than that, he's looking a very, very strong team, obviously full of experienced campaigners who have been there and done it all in the IPL, I suppose. So with all of that in mind, Parts, let's get on to, I suppose, the most important one of any preview show in terms of segments. Where do you think the Chennai Super Kings will finish in this year's tournament?
Well, to be honest, that's an easy one to say. I wanted to say there are some flaws in the side. There are some gaps to fill in that might cost them the playoffs. But no, this is Chennai we are talking about, which is led by the man himself, Dhoni, and with the history, what they have done in the tournament so far. So I see them being in the playoff without a doubt. For sure, they will be in the playoff for me in this season. If not, you might even see them in the finals or lifting the trophy. So Chennai is still one of the favorites for me in this tournament to win the trophy.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. And I'm just thinking, I think back to 2018 when it comes to the Super Kings. And I just remember before that tournament began, and all of the newspaper and the media was saying they're too old, they're this, they're that, the other. They're not gonna even finish in the playoffs, and then they won it. So for me personally, you write off Chennai at your own peril, really. I think in terms of their squad strength, if that starting 11 can keep fit, and we've mentioned the rotation players, the likes of Ngidi, Curran, they've got so much in terms of calibre and quality on their bench. For me, on paper, they're going to make the playoffs. And in terms of a table position, I've got them finishing second. I think in terms of squad strength, if they had Suresh Raina and Harbhajan, I'd argue first. But even without those guys, if they can strike the balance early with that number 3 spot, I think they're pretty much set up. Everywhere else, they've got options, they've got quality. And for me, they are one of the strongest teams in this tournament, arguably the strongest, depending on the conditions in each of the stadiums. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up today's show part. Just before we obviously leave, is there anything that you just want to add in terms of social media channels to promote, for example?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, for sure. I have an Instagram and Twitter channel of Cricket Honestly, where we talk about the games of the moment. I'll put the link in the description. Please follow, and also please follow my mate Aaron. He has been doing really good with his content, and now we know it's a cricket fiesta for almost 2 months.
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot more content coming up, guys.
Definitely. And yeah, I can't wait. I'm guessing everyone at home can't wait either. The IPL is finally here in 2020. So yeah, just before we wrap up the show, if you want to go and check out my Instagram, it's at the Cricket Connoisseur _. Of course, if you want to subscribe to the channel as well, please do click that subscribe button. We have got plenty more content coming over the next few months with the IPL. But that is it for today's Chennai Super Kings preview show. Thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, guys, enjoy the rest of your day.